Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we got a really crazy story about a man overboard situation caused by a lover's quarrel. We have believe it or not, a Caribbean destination that still has vaccine requirements in place. And then Carnival Cruise Line is clarifying 2 of its drug policies and medication policies for its cruise ships. Okay, the first story is Turks and Caicos. It is finally about to lift its vaccine requirements for cruise ship passengers to step foot on their land. It is ending April 1st. Everything's ending April 1st. It's a scary, my group cruise is on April 1st. It's kind of a scary date to take any kind of news or trip, but that's what's happening. April 1st. Once again, you no longer need to be vaccinated. It is one of the last holdouts in the Caribbean, still requiring paperwork and people to be fully updated with their vaccines. Now, some of the cruises right now, transatlantics, transpacifics, and still the Panama Canal, often still require vaccines, and not only vaccines, up-to-date vaccines. I don't know anybody right now in like the past 6 or 7 months who's been talking getting a booster shot. I'm up to date as far as having, I think I've had 4 because I needed it to keep my job here going, but I'm not currently thinking about going and getting another one. I don't know of anyone who is, but what does up to date mean now? Does it mean a 5th booster again? A 6th? We don't know. But for now, they're dropping that vaccine requirement. But still a few places out there holding out. Next we have Carnival Cruise Line coming out and clarifying a couple of questions. One of the questions posed to John Heald on his Facebook page was, it states that medication must be in the original bottle. So you have to carry around those original prescription bottles and everything. And he says, no, let me be clear. You can, for instance, put it in your daily planner. People have those medication things that hold like 7 days worth of their pills, and they can take that as long as they have either a copy of their prescription or just the loose bottle of what they have, the doctor's prescription, something to clarify that this is the medication that they need to take in case they're ever inspected, one at customs, which is more likely to get stopped at customs for your pills and medication than you are at a cruise port, for instance. But yeah, you don't need the original bottle, but you should have some kind of identification with you stating that this is the medication, your prescription, your name, and you have to take it. But you don't have to have the original bottle with you. You could even take that original bottle and take a picture of the front of it showing your name and everything on it and keep it on your phone. That's good enough as well. So that was cleared up. And once again, he had to clear up that no, cannabis, whether it be medical or personal use, is not allowed on cruise ships. And he does state that he knows a lot of people take it for pain relief. I know a lot of people with types of cancer and things like that take it because it does help them through a lot of the pain and the stress of going through things. But he says, as of now, they still are following federal law, which says no cannabis. It does not matter what your state says, what your country says. They follow right now North American law, and that is no cannabis allowed on ships. And they are very serious. They say they're taking this very, very strict right now. And yeah, in fact, in the past 3 weeks, no fewer than 3 passengers between Norwegian Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, and Carnival Cruise Line have been kicked off the ship for using cannabis. So a warning out there, again, you cannot bring cannabis on cruise ships. You will possibly get kicked off. Now a crazy story about the man overboard caused by a lover's quarrel. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from what the rule changes are to tips and tricks that might save you some money and make your next cruise just a little bit easier, I hope you'll join us on the channel. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, but it really does help the channel out, and we try and make this as lighthearted as possible, except sometimes we have to have a rant because we think the cruise lines are doing something wrong, but most of the time we're having a pretty good time, and I hope you'll join us. Okay. This happened on the Carnival Luminosa this week, where a couple was arguing and could be heard arguing because apparently the man was out on his deck, on deck 7, and was locked out. And he was banging on the door for his partner inside to let him in, and she wouldn't do it. They were arguing back and forth, and people on deck 6 and around could hear them arguing. And apparently he decided to jump down to the lifebuoy down below and then climb back on the ship. But when this happened, it either set off an alarm from the cruise ship, who might have those warning systems out there, and that something fell overboard, or somebody saw him from, say, deck 7 and couldn't see him land on the lifeboat, just saw him climb over the deck and jump down, called out a man alarm. So the ship rang out. It rang out 3 times. Man overboard, man overboard, man overboard, port side. And next thing you know, rescue boats were being lowered into the water. The ship slowed down, started to turn around. They were looking for an overboard passenger, and the crew was kind of confused. Some of the crew members thought a crew member went over, some thought passengers went over. It was kind of a bit of a madhouse. But the emergency response was correct. If there's any thought that somebody went over the board, they stop right away. They even drop smoke markers down to mark the spot in the water. Well, yeah, it wasn't a man overboard. He landed on the top of the lifeboat, scurried back onto the ship on deck 6, went up the cabin and started banging on the door inside, and finally his partner let him in. And then people started to figure out what happened. They started searching through the video surveillance and witnesses, etc. Well, needless to say, that gentleman was detained, sequestered into his cabin for the rest of the cruise. Because 1, climbing over your balcony is not permitted, period, on any cruise ship, for any reason except to maybe escape if the ship was sinking. But other than that, climbing over your railing for any reason is strictly forbidden. Too many people have fallen doing stupid things, and yeah, imagine sending a ship into furor because you're having an argument with your partner and she won't let you back into the cabin. Well, the bright side of this, yes, he was sequestered. That argument turned into ruining the cruise. Can you imagine being sequestered with the person who locked you out of the room who you're having an argument with? Okay, that's punishment enough, I guess. Plus losing your cruise for the rest of the journey. But yeah, the good news is it really wasn't a man overboard, which is the best news of all. But I found it kind of funny that his punishment was to be locked in the room with the person who locked him out for the rest of the cruise. Suffer through it. I'm glad I'm not in the cabin beside those people. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.